been taken immediately. The decision.
So it is you that acted immediately.
Maybe let me put it like this to explain. It doesn't say, for instance, with immediate effect. It says immediately, meaning this decision has been taken immediately.
So the way I'm sitting, I think the two mean the same.
But in the context, especially when you attach the preliminary report, which is not required as of 31, it is required for another date, and then the UNESCO, it clearly sends a message that this immediate is not like switching off. It's not like whoever is driving.
Minister, when I studied or was taught English in my younger days, they would say an adverb. What does it do? It modifies a verb, I think, and an adjective qualifies a noun. That's the grammar I was taught. So your immediately is an adverb. So which verb in your sentence does it modify or does it relate to? That's where I want to be sure of what exactly you mean. Because as the sentence stands, it follows immediately after the verb disestablished. And ordinarily, I would read that to mean that you want the task team disestablished immediately. So the immediately relates to disestablished. So that's what must happen immediately. Now, with those views and a little bit of grammar insofar as I understand it, can you try to explain and make me understand your use of immediately?
It says immediately, yes.
Yes.
But then, because I understood that immediately is a process, it denotes a process, there would definitely be a process which the National Commissioner needs to speak to or respond to. It is immediately, but pointing to two futuristic events. The preliminary report, if you like, you would say, oh, okay, it's immediately, but not before the preliminary report is presented, or not before the UNESCO, because otherwise, what would be the meaning of writing, asking for a preliminary report, if it was not indicating a timeline? It was indicating a timeline. Immediately, the decision has been taken immediately. But then the process itself will be as indicated in the letter. Otherwise, I could have written this and stopped it immediately, and it would have given a different meaning. And anyone who says, what is any other meaning here except exactly what it says, immediately, disband now and everything. But once you say it's like saying pending a preliminary report. You use these words, but
it can't come to a screeching halt, as it were. It would have to.
Pardon?
I'm saying what you are saying, basically, Minister, is that it could not come to a screeching halt.
It wouldn't.
All right.
It wouldn't.
All right, Minister, thank you. I was not interrogating you. I just wanted to understand your use of immediately. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Minister, can I just follow up on that? I do apologize, Mr.
No, it's
now
quite
that
okay.
the
Thank
chair has started there. And it's on the back of this discussion with the chairperson, how you're explaining what you contemplated with the use of immediately. Now, there are two things that you ask the National Commissioner to do. You say he must give a preliminary report on the 20th of January, and then the last act in execution of your decision is a final and closing report that must be submitted to a late meeting in January 2025. Now, in the interim report, in the light of this discussion with the chair, what did you expect to see in the implementation of this instruction? What do you expect to see in the interim report?
I was expecting just any kind of a response that would give effect to the directive. If not, any other response from the National Commissioner. And I must say, I've done this even in other departments a few times, even in a meeting, to say, DG, we have taken a decision now. We have immediately taken a decision. And I would even ask, how long would it take you? A week? I'm the first one normally to say a week. And DG would say, Minister, 2 weeks. And I would say 5. Because I've come to understand how officials of government work. They work very hard, but not without one form or the other of relaxing. Sometimes in a situation where you really feel the pressure yourself. So I was expecting that National Commissioner would respond. That is the word. He would respond to the directive. But in particular, indicating how this would be given effect, how it would happen from his perspective.
Good afternoon again, Minister. Again, still only seeking clarity. I have difficulty with your explanation that immediately refers to you having made a decision immediately. Because I'm going to read that sentence. This is what it says. I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. So my reading of it is that you were directing that something be done immediately, not that you were saying you have made an immediate decision that something must happen in the future. So if you can just...
Definitely, that is part of what immediately, in terms of the decision that has been taken, would mean. It would mean start thinking about the process, start preparing the report, start, aligning yourself with this or any other kind of response. So it indicates that even though we are not stopping now, everything switching off now, but switch on the process.
Does it also mean if you have different views, then engage me on those views?
Obviously, it will mean that exactly because in any decision that the ministry would take, you open it up for engagement with the management. That's why the second meeting after the preliminary report would entail UNESCO so that we have engagements on the matter to assess whatever would have come up from the preliminary report.
We will come back to the directive, but for now, I'll give back to Advocate Sil.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. And by way of clarity, still on the same paragraph, my one question has in part been asked by Commissioner Khumalo. My second question still on that paragraph, and I refer you to the sentence relating to the filing of the preliminary report. That sentence starts with a word further. You state further that a preliminary report in this regard be submitted. Now, in the context of trying to understand what immediately means, I would like some clarity as to further to what must a preliminary report be filed. My interpretation of that paragraph is further to the immediate disbandment, a preliminary report must be filed. I want to test my understanding with you. Would that be a correct understanding, or do you think I am completely misreading that? Precisely because you say further. It doesn't say to be disestablished immediately and that a preliminary report be filed. It says further, comma, so that has to imply it is further to something. And going back into the paragraph, I am trying to determine further to what. And the only thing that my logic tells me is further to the immediate disestablishment. So I just want to test my understanding with you.
I want to see this sentence.
It starts, let's start.
Observation. Oh, yes, I see.
Yes.
I see the sentence. Further, so I therefore direct that the political killing system be disestablished immediately.
There, correct.
Meaning decision taken and then processes, but further to that, going forward, or note, in other words, then prepare preliminary report.
Oh, so what would precede the filing of a preliminary report is the immediate disestablishment, which, as you say, means that to start the process of disestablishment.
Only.
Only.
Other than switching off.
Okay. I'm clarified about the meaning you attach, as I guess as the Commissioner pointed out, Commissioner Khumalo. Perhaps we shall revert to this paragraph over the course of today and tomorrow.
Did you ever hold a meeting and have a discussion with the National Commissioner of Police and possibly other senior SAPS members with the agenda item being the disbandment of the PKTT? It doesn't matter if there were possibly other agenda items, but the disbandment of the PKTT being a focal point. Did you ever have such a meeting?
On the 1st of November, we discussed this matter, and I think there are attachments that point to the content of our discussion on the day. But it was not disbandment; it was review of the PKTT. And on the 22nd, it was the same, because at that time.
Apologies, Minister. Perhaps let's work through that answer with reference to the
praised for what they do. On what basis could they think, despite our performance, good performance, insofar as I'm not talking about Dr. DeHaas and other people,
yes,
and I'm by no means judging what they, Dr. DeHaas and others have said, not at all. But I'm saying, in accordance with the assessment of the IMC, they are performing very, very well. On what basis can you seriously suggest that they must have been expecting that they could be disbanded any day?
Now, firstly, on the basis that subsequent to, and I'm careful, you will correct me, just shortly after the letter of the directive, National Commissioner in the preliminary report says they have achieved what they were supposed to achieve, which is not something that I think just arose after the directive. It would have been there, noticed and identified. That is my point number one. In other words, and secondly, I would say, on the basis that, therefore, they would have been seen even by management, not only to have performed very well and commended, but have achieved what they were set up to achieve. And this is backed by stats, the deterioration, the decrease, substantive decrease, especially in 2023, of political matters, indicated by stats, down to 11, and 2024 down to 7 matters. So, and though on the basis, sheer basis of the problem or the challenge for which they were established, and then discussions in the meetings in November, there would have been that kind of understanding that they have achieved their role.
Minister, I have a serious difficulty with that answer. You see, if you were giving us that answer having consulted with them and they had said this before you took the decision, your answer would make sense. Your answer does not make sense because it's something that you get to know after you had taken that decision. So on that basis, I say, or I suggest to you, Minister, that your answer does not make sense. Would you accept that? You knew nothing about what General Masemula would say after you had taken that decision. So that means nothing insofar as your decision is concerned. Do you accept that?
But if you refer to the meetings of November 1 and 22 November, I wouldn't necessarily agree with you that it was a surprise and given all the background, because we're already now in November.
Minister, please, I don't interrupt lightly.
Okay.
But I'm not talking about what had happened before now. I am asking a question that relates to what you say happened after you had taken your decision. So I do not see how you now go back. I'm saying, your answer that General Masemula says, what the PKTT was set up to achieve had been achieved, sort of aligns with your decision. So I'm saying that answer to my question does not make sense, because what General Masemula says post the taking of your decision could not have been a factor in your mind or could not in any way have informed your decision, because you get to hear of it after you had taken your decision. So I suggest to you that the answer to my question does not make sense. Do you get me now? Do you get me?
I get you very clearly.
Do you agree with my suggestion to you?
I would say the answer to your question lies not necessarily on the meeting, on the preliminary report on the 22nd January. It lies in the meetings in November, before I wrote the directive, of the 1st of November, the 22nd of November, even though it was not directly a disbandment, but the answer lies there, that there is this review, there is this discussion, there is this anticipation.
Was a point, Minister, ever reached at the November meetings?
Pardon?
Was a point ever reached at the November meetings? November meetings which were about a review. Was a point ever reached at those meetings or at any other meeting before 31 December 2024 that there should be disbandment? Was such a point ever reached?
My argument, sorry.
Was such a, please, not an argument, just a response to that question, and it's a very simple one. And a yes or no could do, unless you must explain. Was such a point ever reached, Minister, that there should be disbandment?
I would say many times, Commissioner,
Before 31 December 2024.
in the sense that
When you are the minister, I'm talking about when you are the minister, let's forget about the work study. And I don't even agree that there was anything that there should be a disbandment even there. But anyway, the November meetings up to 31 December 2024, was a point ever reached? So I'm giving you a timeline. Was a point ever reached that the PKTT should be disbandment? Was such a point ever reached?
no, it was not, that point was never reached, except in context of what we were
You see
discussing.
why I'm asking you this question, because you keep going back to the November meetings. That is why I want a categorical answer from you, whether a point was ever reached that the PKTT should be disbanded. So your answer is that no such point was ever reached.
No such point was ever reached in directly, as you ask.
Well, thank you.